Their big concern is, okay, he's north of 30. What's he going to look like? Is he going to slow down? He's had some injury issues the last couple of years. But again, for me, he's been your ace. The big question mark, guys, for the Braves this offseason is starting pitching. Charlie Morton, is he back? Max Fried, what happens? Does he sign elsewhere? Again, as I was saying before I got cut off, I think a lot of folks in Braves country have kind of come to the realization that 54 might not be back in the rotation next year, and that's a big loss. So, you've got Strider coming off injury. You've got Chris Sale, a Triple Crown winner this year. So that's huge to have him for a couple of more seasons. But really, for me, the number one question mark around this team this offseason is where do they go in the starting rotation?
So my question, while you were gone, while you were in frozen land, frozen Wi-Fi land, why, and it's not just the Braves, like why, Max Fried is clearly one of the top two pitchers available in the free agent market, in my opinion. The Braves need a starting pitching upgrade because they are still a World Series contending team. Why would they not bring him back? Why is this? Because everybody else signed extensions and he didn't sign an extension? Why is he going to cost too much for the Atlanta Battery to pay for Max Fried to come and pitch for your team who you dominated for the last few years?
That's a great question. And look, there's no doubt the Braves can afford him. I think their big concern is, okay, he's north of 30. What's he going to look like? Is he going to slow down? He's had some injury issues the last couple of years. But again, for me, he's been your ace. He's got the second most wins in baseball behind Garrett Cole since the start of 2019. He's got the most wins by any lefty in the game. So, he is as close to as, he's not a homegrown guy. We know he started in San Diego, but he's as close to a homegrown talent as you're ever going to have in the organization. I love Max. He's a bulldog when he's on the mound. So again, I don't know what the reason would be to justify not bringing him back. It's not the fact that they can't afford him. I think the fact that, again, is he north of 30? Does he start slowing down? Are you scared about what that contract looks like later on? Those are certainly valid questions. But again, your window to win a World Series is still very much wide open. And I think if you have a chance to go for it, you go for it. So if I'm the Braves, I'm bringing him back. What's scary is everybody in the world needs starting pitching. So there could be quite a bidding war for his services moving forward.
Okay, but if every team looks at the Braves and they're like, well, the Braves aren't bringing him back, nobody knows more about this guy than the Braves training staff. And like, is that real, or is it really just boiled down to the Braves? Because if the Braves go out, because they offered Aaron Nola. We know they offered Aaron Nola. So do they think Aaron Nola is going to last longer than Max Fried because they offered him a nice contract, he didn't accept it?
Yeah, spot on. And again, I don't know what the argument would be to justify not bringing him back. Again, you've got young arms in the organization, but we've seen so many of them come up and get a chance, and they get 3 or 4 starts and they go back down. So, if I'm the Braves, if I'm making that call, to me, it feels like a pretty easy one. I need Max Fried. I need him back. I need that arm in my rotation, 30 or not. I mean, heck, we've seen guys pitch into their 40s. So again, I don't necessarily subscribe to the he's 30, his body's going to break down on him. I just it's all the intangibles too. I just think that, what he brings off the field in the clubhouse, he's such a good guy. He's such a great leader. If I'm making that call, it feels like a pretty easy one. Will they do it? I know a lot of folks here in Braves country hope they will.
So my question to you is as well, you talk about pitching staff. Well, I'm going to go to the catchers now. Travis d'Arnaud just signed a deal with the Angels. Is there someone coming up from the bottom there that could be another backup catcher, maybe help out with the Braves? Or are they going to look for somewhere outside the organization?
Yeah, Todd, they've got a young player coming up through the minors, Drake Baldwin, and he's been a pretty quick mover. The problem is, I don't think you bring up a Drake Baldwin to sit on the bench and back up Sean Murphy. If you're going to bring up a young catcher, you want him to play. I don't think you want him to sit and, catch 1 or 2 games a week. So I think that's probably another area they look to address. And look, the option for d'Arnaud was $8 million. That's the deal they've brought him in on the last couple of years. And I'm quite frankly surprised they didn't exercise that. Again, you want to talk about a leader off the field. Darno checks a lot of boxes, and he was so clutch. He came up with so many big knocks for the Braves this past year, and really the last 2 or 3 seasons. Let's be honest. So I think they probably look outside the organization to bring in somebody else to pair with Sean Murphy, because again, I don't think you bring up that young guy to not get playing time. I think if you want him to play, you want him to play at AAA and play every day. So when he does come up to potentially be the everyday guy, he's going to get those reps. So again, you look the last few years, they traded away Contreras, they traded away Langoliers. Hindsight, do they wish they would have done that or held on to one of them? Maybe, probably. But again, I think that you probably have to look outside the organization and bring in another guy that you can partner and have that 1-2 punch with Murphy and whoever else. It might be a solidified, bona fide major league catcher at this point.
Kratzy's boy,
Yeah.
Gary Sanchez.
No,
No.
no, that's not who I was going to. I was going to, it's actually later, one of our segments later. Kyle Higashioka had 18 homers last year. The Braves love framing and receiving. He was top 3 in the game. They lose Darno. Unfortunately, though, I think it might cost the Braves a little bit more than $8 million a year, because it might be a 2-year deal. Were they looking at that route, or are they looking more at like the defensive first type of catchers? Because then if something happens to Murphy, which something's happened the last 2 years to Murphy, like you're missing out on a guy, and you need a bona fide starting catcher who's willing to back up Murphy.
Yeah, and Higashioka, he killed them in the very brief wild card series. I mean, they saw that firsthand how tough he can be and how good he is as far as a clutch, coming up in big moments, big situations. So I do think that that could be a possibility. You're right; it'll cost him more than Darno would have, and I do think that would be a great fit. They do put a big emphasis on defensive catchers and framing and trying to steal those extra strikes. But what's interesting is Sal Fasano, who was really a big part of that, is now gone. He was part of the coaching staff. He was not retained for 2025. So maybe there's potentially a shift in the organizational mindset of how they look at catchers and what they look for out of their backstops. I don't know what that would look like. But again, since Fasano is now gone, I just wonder if that changes their philosophy a little bit moving forward. But again, Higashioka was a thorn in their side out in San Diego a couple of months ago. Brave fans are probably still trying to get over that. But they unfortunately were on the wrong end of him coming up huge for San Diego this year.
We can't have you on without asking about Acuna. Sounds like he's not going to start the season opening day. Is that a precautionary? Is that a setback type of decision? Or is that we need to get things right because we want to play in the playoffs type of decision?
To me, I think it's more precautionary than anything. And I wouldn't say it's a setback. I think, you're looking at a guy who's dealing with, 2 ACL surgeries and, what he's been through the last couple of years. It's going to be a longer process for him to get back. And when he does, what's his speed look like? Is he still able to go out there and be as aggressive on the bases as he has been earlier in his career or not? How does that change, his game? And, when he had the ACL injury the first time, they slow played at him coming back, and he didn't play every day. He DH'd a little bit. He would play a couple of games in a row in the field and then get a day off. So, given the fact it's his second surgery in the last 4 years, 3 years, really, I guess, if you break it down, I wouldn't call it a setback, but I just think it's a situation where this is not 1 but 2 legs he's having to come back off surgeries from. So, again, do they have to find another outfielder this offseason? Jorge Soler is gone. So what do they do? I think they do probably find somebody else that can just give him some innings and hold the fort down. Laureano did a nice job down the stretch last year. He was a nice piece to have. That could certainly be a possibility. If they're looking for an upgrade, though, I think they could still find that, whether it's via trade or free agency this offseason. But again, the fact that he's not going to be ready opening day, I was not surprised when I heard that news.
Who are we going to see at 100% first? Strider or Acuna?
Ooh, good question. I'll go Strider. Given the fact, that it wasn't a full Tommy John surgery, I think the rehab and recovery process could be a little bit quicker for him. So I'm going to say Strider. And again, that's good news for a team that probably needs a couple of starters this offseason. Bad news for a guy who was a 40-70 player a couple of years ago. So I'll go Strider, hopefully not by much, though.
So, Kevin, I want to get back to the career, right? You and I did TV back in the day on MLB, and obviously you worked for the Braves radio for a long time. So whatever you're good with sharing, kind of let everyone know about the run that you just had, what you're doing now, and what went into all of that.
Yes, Scott, I really enjoyed our time together. There's no doubt about it. And believe me, I loved every minute of working with Braves Radio. I started in 2012, had a chance to work my way in from daily reporter to hosting the pre and post game show for the last 5 years. This was totally my decision to walk away. I'm 42 years old. 21 years of my life has been scheduled around a baseball schedule every summer. I've got a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old, which if you follow me on social media, they're my everything, man. They're my world. And for 6.5, 7 months out of the year, I don't see them very much. I don't get a chance to spend much time with them. I don't get a chance to coach my son's baseball team. I don't get to go to my daughter's gymnastics classes and things like that. So missed out on a lot, and not looking for sympathy because working in baseball is still pretty darn cool as well. But I had a couple of years left on my deal, and I decided, you know what? My family's put me first for a long, long time. Time to do that for them. So I'm working now at a company here in Marietta, right down the street from my house. So I'm still here in Atlanta, in the Atlanta metro area. Instead of doing radio shows talking about ERAs and batting average and WHIP and things like that, I'm hosting financial radio shows, helping folks plan towards their retirement, which I know is a big deal. And I've learned a lot about the retirement world. I've learned that I got a long way to go if I ever want to be able to do it someday. But you know what? It's normal hours. It's a chance to take summer vacations with my kids. It's a chance to go to games with my kids. It's just a chance to be around my family a lot more. And again, guys, you know it. You guys have all been around baseball long enough. The wives are the MVPs of the whole thing. My wife, Melissa, has held down the fort for a long time. And, now to be home for dinner every night and help out with homework and, be able to be part of their lives a little bit more. It was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So I'm excited about it. Again, I'm learning a lot more about 401ks and Roth conversions, and I'm learning a lot of abbreviations that I never knew existed. But the people here are awesome. Impact Partnership is great, and they're still really encouraging me to stay in baseball, to do podcasts or do things like this with you guys. So I'm not done with baseball. I'm just done with it for a full-time basis, at least for a little while. And as I joked, once the kids are out of the house, once they're off to college or whatever the lies ahead for them after high school, I'm sure I'll be knocking on the door to get back and do baseball full-time. But again, I've watched them grow up from afar. I watched my son's first swings in T-ball on FaceTime. I watched him take his first steps on FaceTime. So I've missed a lot. And Max and Mia, they're everything to me. So I'm just excited to be with them more and to put them first. And again, you don't get these years back. So I got a 4th grader somehow. I don't know how in the world that happened. So again, anybody out there who's a parent, you know how fast they grow up, and it feels like they grow up even faster when you're not around to see them very much. So I'm excited for this new role and excited to see where it takes us moving forward.
This holiday season, I want to give a gift to my loved ones that makes them feel special and unique. That gift is StoryWorth.
Here's how it works. Each week, StoryWorth emails your loved one a thought-provoking question that you get to help pick. Things like, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? And what's the farthest you've ever traveled? All your loved one needs to do is respond with a story. Long or short, it doesn't matter. After that year of fun, StoryWorth compiles those stories and photos into a beautiful keepsake hardcover book that you'll be able to share and revisit for generations to come. This is the perfect book to pass along at family gatherings or read with your kids. It is beautifully orchestrated by StoryWorth, and that's why it has more than 35,000 five-star reviews on Trustpilot, with millions of stories preserved since they were founded over 10 years ago.
With StoryWorth, I'm giving those I love most a thoughtful personal gift from the heart and preserving their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/foul and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/foul to save $10 on your first purchase. That's awesome. That's awesome. I couldn't agree more. That's why I quit playing. So I commend you in that. Not that you need my commendation, but I do wonder, now that you're not in baseball, why don't you move back to God's country? I mean, we might have played it. Did you play high school ball? Did you play high school baseball?
I did not. I played until I was in 6th grade. and I saw a fastball about to hit me in the left ear flap. I hit the ground, and the umpire said strike one. And I've told this story on the air. I'm covered
Oh
in
my
dirt and
God.
dust, and I looked around. I said, "Are you crazy?" He goes, "It's called a curveball, son. Get up." Kid threw me 2 more. I got in the car, told Mom, "That's it. We're done. I'm gonna have to. If I want to get to the big leagues, it's gonna have to be in another capacity or another role."
Oh
So,
my God.
yeah, I'm sure you guys all have similar situations as younger players, but yeah, we're happy here in Atlanta's really, it's become home. We've been here since 2012. We love it. Still have a lot of family and friends up there in the Philly area. Delaware County, Delco is always going to be home. There's nothing like Delco. Did you live in that area? I know you spent a lot of time in Philadelphia.
Yeah. No, I grew up in this area. That's why I was wondering if because you're 42, I'm 44. I didn't know if I hit a dinger off you in high school or not, because you went to Haverford, right?
Haverford High, baby, home of the Fords. But you know what? You would have taken me deep if I would have been able to throw a strike, and I probably wouldn't have been able to do that. So now I'm getting my fill with 10U baseball, which is man, I don't know what it's like to step into the box in the big leagues, but coaching third base in a 10U tournament like I did this past weekend, man, my heart was racing. So it was fun. And I actually played Tyler Flowers' team this past weekend, and we'll leave out the final score. It didn't go well for my boys, but
it's okay.
We
It's
got beat by
10U.
3
Make sure you tell
touchdowns. I'll
Todd.
just say that.
It's not about winning. It's about making sure they're having fun and getting better. That's
exactly, especially at
Todd,
that age.
tell the parents that I had to deal with on the other side that past weekend.
Of course.
Oh, Todd knows. Todd knows too.
Ooh.
Well, Kevin, this was awesome, man. I'm really glad we did this, especially this last few minutes. It's inspirational. I kid you not. I know plenty of people that are grinding and even really like overdoing it, then afterwards have regrets with the fam, the whole thing. So it's good for people to hear stories like this, right? You can do both. You can live your dream, play all that out, and then you can also carve out family time within your lifespan. So really respect all of that a ton, and good luck with it. And obviously we'll keep in touch on everything too, and let us know if we can be helpful.
Hey everybody, be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.